DBPP. I am joined again by Jesse Graff,
Hello.
who still has his beard, which we're going to talk about in a sec. Trevor Anderson, who still does not have a
Oh,
beard.
hey, well, look,
I
I've
don't
been practicing.
know. We can discuss what to call that later. And Court Weber, who is orbiting the sun right now, and has a I don't
Luxurious
know.
beard.
Yeah, sure. So. Thank you for joining me also. Jesse, I thought you were shaving your beard after the Trailblazers lost.
Well, see, that was the idea. And then I decided I wanted to roll with the Joel Freeland look, but I don't trust myself to groom it properly. So I'm going to go to Modern Man here in Portland because I've discovered the barber who actually cuts Joel Freeland's hair at Modern Man.
Really?
So, yeah, I'm just going to go to him and have him do it. But
Wow.
I want to wait until like I've closed the house and stuff because Modern Man can get very expensive very quickly.
So do you just walk in with a picture of Joel Freeland and like hold it up and say, "I want this"?
Yeah, I want the this.
Are you going to replace Joel Freeland one day? Just one...
That's my strategy. I hope that one day I can just walk into the practice facility and they'll be like, "Joel, you're not nearly as tall as I remember, but okay."
Just be like, "What up, bros?"
I'll have to speak with the accent though. That'll be a dead giveaway.
Yeah. Now that we've alienated everyone that doesn't watch sports. Okay, so let me bring it up here on the screen. The first thing I wanted to talk about was that there were several big energy stories coming out over the last this week and last week, beginning with the biggest one is the Tesla Powerwall. Have you guys seen and heard about the Tesla Powerwall?
Yeah, they look like iPods for your wall.
Well, yeah, that's
Like
definitely one way to.
gigantic battery iPods.
Yeah, it's a great idea, but it seems more like, I mean, it's good for anybody, but it's especially good if you happen to have solar panels.
Small panels.
Solar panels, if you guys are familiar with the classic Birdemic, shock and terror. And if not, you definitely should be. Yeah, I mean, would you guys, I know you guys, all three of you are in the process or are homeowners, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you guys shell out $3,500 for this?
I would if I could have solar panels. We actually had Solar World come and look at our house, and we have a big tree in the backyard, and I wasn't willing to get rid of the big tree in order to get the solar panels. But if I got solar panels, it makes all the sense in the world. If you don't have solar panels, it makes no sense whatsoever.
Well, it still cuts down the your bill significantly, and it increases or decreases your carbon footprint.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to. What is it, like $3,500? You said, and that's just for one, and you can stack. So you can stack up to like 9.
Yeah, but it's for one of them you can do. They're going to do like a rent to own type thing where you can do financing on it. So it'll be. I think they said it would be something like $15 per month.
So I mean, explain to me how, if you are on your regular utility, how you end up saving money. Because I mean, it's a battery, so it's just storing the energy that you're pulling from the utility. So you still have to get that. You're still being metered for that utility. So how are you getting the savings there?
Well, in theory, it is a more efficient battery, so it will charge during the non-peak hours, like during the afternoon, in the middle of the night. So then it will then be in use during the peak hours, which is generally late afternoon through early evening.
Gotcha.
So in theory, it's a more efficient way to use the same energy, and you're storing it during the non-peak hour. So you're right, you're still paying for the power you're storing, but it's being used more efficiently, so you wouldn't use as much.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting idea. I don't know that I would drop the $3,500 in order to get that. But yeah, if you live out in the middle of nowhere, and because the other advantage to having this is that it stores the energy. If you have a power outage or something like that, then you still have power. So that would make all the sense in the world. But living in the the city of Portland, where the grid is solid, we get a fair amount of our energy through water and a variety of other green energies. I don't know that I'd drop the $3,500.
That's fair. That's a good point in Portland too. How much did you get an idea of how much solar panels would cost for your house?
Yeah, it was going to be, well, I mean, it's kind of cool. If you can get solar panels for your house, I highly recommend you do it, because they were able to, you essentially rent the panels. You're just buying your energy essentially from them instead, so your bill doesn't really change. It would be about the same as your spending on your regular, like PGE is what it is here in Portland. So your regular utility, your bill would be about the same, but then it locks in at what it is right now. So in 20 years, if you're on these solar panels, you are still paying the power that you would be paying 20 years ago. So it doesn't raise, and the money that you're spending is then going just to rent the panels essentially. So you're not going to be free and clear, and you're not going to be just be able to willy-nilly use your energy without having to worry about it. But it's still, at least the money is going to the solar, the solar industry, and you are locked in at a fairly low rate.
So it's great unless the energy market does crash like Elon Musk is hoping, in which case, you're screwed because you're paying a 20-year-old bill. So,
I mean, I am hoping that as soon as we get closed on my house and get moved and everything, that I'll be able to call in one of those, you can get grants to like make your entire home energy efficient, and they cover like a lot of the costs. See because like if you can do like a high efficiency furnace or heat pump or whatever, and the windows and solar panels. And so I'm wondering if like you could include one of these power walls in that, save even more money, be even more efficient.
Man, that'd be awesome. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to start checking the cracks of the couch and saving up for that in 15 years.
Well, I mean, the cool thing about if you buy it through, I think the Solar World was the company that we talked to, because they happened to be at a Blazer game, and they're like, hey, we'll come check out your house. The deal with that is, normally the panels, if you were to buy them outright, it would be $20,000, $30,000 worth of panels.
They still that much? Jesus.
Yeah, they're fair. I mean, to do the amount of panels that you would need in order to cover, get the right amount of coverage, they're fairly expensive. But if you buy it through, if you go through one of these companies, that's part of the rental. You're not buying the panels themselves. You're just basically renting them from the company. So you're not out the $20,000, $30,000, or however much it is, in order to get the panels on your house.
I wonder, how do those panels handle like hail? Because it's hailed already twice this spring season here in Kansas. I wonder if that just beat them up, or if they're built to kind of withstand that.
I think I don't know about Kansas hail. I mean, Oregon hail, I'm sure they can handle, but when you get the golf ball size stuff, I don't know if I don't know if they're rated for that.
I guess it'd be good to rent them then, because if it gets broke, it's like, well, come fix them, guys.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing, is that you are completely covered and your roof is insured. I think they said the roof would be insured for like $1 million. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool.
I think they would have to put them on the market with being somewhat durable. You wouldn't want like a straight gust of wind to shatter them or anything.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want your, you're in Kansas. You don't want your panels to end up in Oz, right?
Right.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and mute Jesse for a few minutes.
I'm on timeout.
I actually looked. I was at Walmart, and they actually had solar panels you could buy to charge like your boat battery, like a triple charger. So I mean, they were like $30-$40. I thought about getting one of those. So
it's Kansas. Where do you fuel it up? You like fuel up? Do you put gas in the solar panel and then the solar panel?
And we've got a lot of wind energy here.
Yeah, well, you gotta.
But
you're half right.
I was looking at them at Walmart, so my thought was, if Walmart's carrying them and they're like, $50 for one that would charge a battery here, I figured they'd be way cheaper now on the roofs. But man, at that $10-20 grand.
Well,
I guess I didn't
that's
realize
that's
it
to
was up
buy them
there.
outright. If you were to buy them outright, and I mean
Right.
that's still pretty expensive to buy them, but you know, there's lots of companies that are offering deals like that, I think.
Hmm. The thing about the Powerwall that I think I'm most encouraged about is that it's debuting at $3,500. So you got to think like 3-4 years from now, it'll probably be much cheaper.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like the the iPod or whatever. If after enough people buy them, it drops the price down, like by half.
Plus,
Well,
I mean, there's got to be some people, at least somebody has to be thinking in terms of competition.
well, and Musk is leaving it open source. Like it's still open source. You can get in there and figure out how to do other stuff with it, which is really cool.
That's why I love Elon Musk. That guy, I mean, he is doing it exactly right as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he's made his millions. He's set up for the rest of his life. He doesn't have to make any more, and he's just coming up with great technology and open sourcing it and allowing other people to build on it.
Yeah, he is completely out of fucks to give. Like he gives none. Like he will.
Yeah.
The Tesla, you can find pretty much all the specs on the Tesla online as well, or
Yeah.
probably not online as well. But you can also request them from the engineers, and they'll be like, "Yeah, here's how we did it."
Well, and he makes great products. I mean, like if you see a Tesla driving down the road, you want one. Like it doesn't look like a piece of shit.
Last night I was actually coming back on the highway, and I saw this behind me. It was this car with this little light up center, like the logo was lit up, and I'm like, "What is that?" And all of a sudden he just go by me, and I'm like, "Wow, all right." And I'm not a huge car guy. I like cars, but I'm not like oh God, I gotta have that. When I see the super fast car come by, I really want a Tesla.
Yeah.
I want a Tesla so bad.
Well, the new Model S is coming later this year, I think, and it's going to be 35,000, which, for a car, that's really reasonable.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of my personal 5-year plan or whatever you want to call it. Like as soon as I was like, "Oh, you're shitting me! I can buy a house," I immediately then focused my attention. I was like, "And next comes the Tesla."
Yeah, more fucker and buy a Tesla.
Yeah, that's right.
Did you guys see those clips of they were putting people in the Model S's and then they have it like super accelerator mode, and so they would just sit them there and have the dash cam and they stomp on it. And people would,
That wasn't. I don't think that was the Model S. That was the.
That was the Roadster or whatever,
yeah,
right?
the P85S.
Oh yeah.
Which is a supercar, an electric supercar, which is pretty badass. And like there are all these videos of the P85 going up against like Ferraris and stuff like that, and like it hangs with a lot of them. There are a few that beat it, but I mean, you're talking about getting beat by a Lamborghini, so I mean,
yeah,
and it's a completely electric car. But I just think the weirdest thing is like stomping on the gas and he goes.
Yeah. You have to make the sound yourself.
Well, was it the Nissan Leaf? There's a button you can hit and it like simulates engine sound.
Are you serious? That's
Yeah. It's a safety measure, so you don't like just run up on somebody, I guess.
Well, I heard that people that get those electric cars, you end up running over a lot more pets because they don't hear you coming as much as they would have.
Oh no!
Yeah.
You need those little deer repellent things on all cars.
Yeah.
Well, I heard they were like saying they were going to add music to them, and one of the suggestions was to make the sound from the Jetsons cars. That.
Okay, so moving on, thinking of but sticking with the car stuff. Let me bring up my screen again. There was another car-related energy piece of news this week where it was coming from Audi and their partner. Can you guys all see this?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the Audi and a company called Sunfire out of Germany have teamed up to create this new type of diesel. They're calling it e-diesel, and it's created by literally using water and air. They take water atoms or molecules and then they split them. They take the hydrogen, they combine them with carbon. I believe it's carbon monoxide, which is harnessed from carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. put them under pressure, and then you have this thing called blue crude, which is a type of it's carbon neutral. It acts just like diesel, and in all essences, it's actually a more efficient type of diesel as well. The report's on fire, and it's coming from the lab itself, so I'd rather see independent verification. Supposedly, it is 70% more efficient than standard diesel fuel right now. Has no carbon footprint, completely carbon neutral. It's about the same in terms of cost. It will equal about $1.63 per gallon, which is about the same as regular diesel is in Europe. And all in all, it's pretty badass. Would this make you buy a diesel car, or would you want to wait for an electric car?
I still want a Tesla. That doesn't change that for me. I mean, it's awesome. I think the biggest thing for me is that I'm thinking now like semi trucks and shipping things that you need diesel for. That's huge. That's a huge part of burning fossil fuels, and if they could switch over to this, that'd be amazing. And I know like Europe and Asia and stuff tend to use a lot more diesel than we do here.
Yeah.
So that's really huge for them. But yeah, I'm still worshiping at the altar of Elon Musk. So.
Yeah, I think obviously electric cars are probably the best alternative for the future. Just because the no emission, easily recharged, all that kind of stuff. This is a good alternative because I don't think that there is an electric engine that has the torque that you would need to pull like a semi-trailer or something like that. So this is a good alternative for that.
Well, the other downside with that, and kind of the biggest problem with electric cars still, is that there aren't enough recharging stations, and even if there were, they take too long.
Yeah.
So, I mean, anything beyond, I think the limit right now for the Tesla is somewhere around, I want to say 200 miles, but I think they've improved that to maybe 280, something like that. That's great, but it wouldn't take us from like Portland to San Francisco. You'd need a car that could refill along the way.
Right. Well, and I would want to look more into this technology because it's I want to know how much energy is being used in order to make this diesel. You say it's carbon neutral, but my question is with hydrogen and stuff like that, hydrogen would be a great alternative as well, but it takes so much energy in order to pull the hydrogen out of the air that it's not cost effective.
Well, this one, the way they're doing it is they're using purely solar and wind power, which they can get away with in Germany because Germans use a lot of solar and wind power. So here it might be more expensive to refine than over there, but they're saying it will cost, the fuel itself will cost right around the same as regular diesel.
Yeah, well, if you have a country like Germany, with I think they're at this point they're 80% green as far as their energy production, then this would make sense. Here, you'd have to burn coal because we're still using more coal plants than anywhere else. You'd still be burning coal in order to get this stuff, so it defeats the purpose.
Sure.
Well, in the long run, I mean, I think unfortunately the biggest problem that we face here is the biggest problem we face in pretty much anything, and that's who has the money and who's in control of the sanctions and whatever else. I mean, the guys in power all come from big oil and big pharma, so it's like, how are we supposed to defeat them?
Yeah.
Get them out of the way.
Yeah, I know. My hope with this, or part of the reason I was excited about this one, is because it is Audi, who's a fairly major player.
Right.
So maybe they can talk other rich auto execs into doing this. So it would be rich auto people versus rich oil people. And
yeah.
They can fight on the moon with mechs, and it would be like winner takes all.
I would put that on pay-per-view.
That would
be more interesting
for the pay-per-view.
Yeah, it'd be more interesting than last night's fight, I think.
Yeah, and there's a good chance the robots you see fighting would not have been accused of domestic assault.
Yeah, I'm not guarantees.
Well, at the very least, they won't hate the gays as much. So.
Yeah, no little robots coming into the police station to write a scathing note about their dad.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
God.
Man, I
So
really want to
yeah,
see. I really want to see like the Audi Jaeger versus the Chevy
yeah,
Jaeger
Yeah. Versus a
fighting.
Fuse bot.
Elon Musk could
Yeah,
have the Tesla mech.
yeah.
yeah.
That'll be awesome.
The Tesla mech
It'll
would
have the
just
power pack like Iron Man right on its chest.
the Tesla mech would just quietly emerge from the ocean. Nobody would see it coming. It would just walk up behind them. Uh,
So I did see another Easter egg that Tesla put in their car, and being a big James Bond fan, Ryan, I figured you'd appreciate it. But they actually have a mode you can go in on their console, and it looks like you're pulling up that submersible submarine car. It
Yeah,
says
the
it's one of
Lotus.
the modes on the car. Yeah, it's Easter
Nice.
egg into their OS on the
That's
Tesla.
amazing. Well,
It's
the
pretty awesome.
the one thing I really appreciated was that they with his Series 3, which I think was the last one before the S that's coming. They would have had the SEX, but they didn't want to let him. Everyone was like, Elon, that's kind of a little. He's like, okay, fine, call it the 3, whatever.
That's the other reason why I love Elon Musk. He's such a massive dork.
Yeah.
It's so great.
yeah. But yeah, all these things that like the little Lotus Easter egg, it just goes to show that the people Elon Musk has working for him are just nerds, just like
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, they're just a lot. They're nuclear physicists essentially, and
Yeah, I mean, way smarter than us.
Yeah, rich nerds.
yeah, really rich nerds.
Yeah. Okay, so moving off of oil, let me bring up the next story here. There was a story that broke, and I thought it was a joke or at least a rumor at first, but it's not. There is now going to be a spin-off or a crossover between 21 Jump Street or the Jump Street franchise and Men in Black. So I kind of thought this was a joke at first because originally it came out that they were talking about this back when the Sony emails were first leaked, and I don't know if you can see all that there, but I don't know, like I don't know what to think about this. I think it's interesting, but at the same time, it's kind of like the next stage of the reboot rather than just rebooting. Now people are just going to combine older franchises.
Right.
You know, maybe you'll get Caddyshack and Hoosiers. Those plucky kids from Indiana are going to play golf.
Well, everybody's looking for their own Avengers. I mean, that's kind of they're looking to the Avengers for this because they've had so much success of taking established characters and just cramming them all together. But in the case of the Avengers, you have a team that's supposed to be together. In this, I don't know if there's any comics or any other stories that suggest that 21 Jump Street ever hung out with the guys from Men in Black.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like they're making me drink gray water. We're getting recycled in. Like, here, drink this. You'll like it.
I don't have any idea. Like, is there any sort of info on like what the plot is or how exactly they're going to shoehorn these together?
Very little. Just that it would be Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill, and they would. So it would be their franchise probably going into Men in Black, as opposed to that means probably no Will Smith, no Tommy Lee Jones.
Gotcha.
You know what? Actually, if that's the case, then I'm for it.
You know, it's kind of like one franchise now is swallowing another. It's
Yeah.
survival of the fittest franchises.
Yeah.
Those guys have done so good with 21 and 22 Jump Street that you know what? Fuck it, why not? I'll watch it.
Well, isn't that kind of the with the whole Ghostbusters thing, where we all kind of misunderstood what the point of the second movie was for a minute? That it's actually like it wasn't the studio. The second one with Channing Tatum and them wasn't like the answer. Wasn't like the male answer to the female Ghostbuster movie. They were always intended to be two complementary films.
Yeah, And supposedly there's a third one as well, Ghostbusters, which would be it would be a period piece. They haven't said when, but possibly turn of the century, 1900, 1800s.
I missed that one.
Really?
That's pretty.
Like,
So,
Okay,
yeah.
now I'm
Ghostbusting?
starting to lose a little.
Ye
Yeah.
old Ghostbusters, the Ghostbusting shoppy.
Pedal-powered power packs.
Yeah.
You know it has to be steampunk, right?
Oh,
right.
of
Yeah.
course. And somehow they'll fit Tesla, the actual
Yeah.
guy Nikola Tesla, in there.
It'll be James Franco as Tesla.
Interesting.
It's always Franco.
So yeah, the Ghostbusters would be the female, then the male, which supposedly is again Channing Tatum and possibly Chris Pratt,
Yeah.
which I would go see. I like both
Sure.
of them. And then there would be the throwback one, the I don't know how they do it, a flashback or a separate one, but and then that would all lead into the fourth movie would be a combined shared universe.
But yeah, it's like Court said, like everything, the Avengers, the big giant franchise model has proven so successful. Every single one of those is a damn near $1 billion movie.
Yeah.
So everyone's trying to copy that.
Well,
model.
and unfortunately, I don't think DC's trying to do a similar thing, and it's not going to work because based on that trailer, I'm not in. It does not look good to me.
Yeah, we talked about that a lot the last episode.
Yeah, grim and gritty superheroes that are just boring looking.
Yeah.
And have you guys seen the image of Batfleck in his full costume? And it's like the first full-on image of him, just a portrait of him.
Yeah.
And he just looks bored. Like he's just like, and that's just his face. He's just like,
Yeah.
it's just dead eyes, and he's like.
I don't know how they're going to turn this
I'm
team
Batman,
into.
I guess.
I don't know how they're going to turn this into the Justice League because how do you go from do you bleed to we are best friends and we're going to fight for truth, justice, and the American way.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is Avengers. I mean this was Jesus God, what? It's 7-8 years in the making at this point.
Yeah.
And
10 movies leading up to it.
Yeah, and they're gonna and DC is like, well, we had the one Superman and we just ended the other Batman franchise. Okay, so put Batman, put Aquaman. Fuck it, put them all in there. Put them all in there, and then we're just gonna shove them all. We're gonna have, you know what, Justice League next year. Woo!
Show me the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot of hopes for DC, and I blame Snyder. Like I've said it before, I think his vision is the one guiding this, and I think it's the exact wrong guy because he's all dark and gritty and soulless. Dead
Yeah. Well,
somehow they're gonna have to get Matt Damon in there, so it's Ben Affleck and
he'll
Damon
be
together
Robin
again.
Like he'll be Dick
Box
Grayson,
office
maybe.
smash. That would be awesome.
If he just like had a cameo as Dick Grayson. Like, bro, what are you doing, bro? God, I'm out
Just
of
have
here.
him do a cartwheel across the screen, and that's it.
Yeah, just like
I could
spoiler.
I could see him as Nightwing. You know what? If you make Matt Damon Nightwing, I'm in again. I'm back.
I take back everything I said.
But I don't know, like he doesn't. Matt Damon is what? Maybe Matt Damon like 25 years ago.
Yeah.
I just keep hearing the South Park guys going, Matt Damon!
Matt Damon.
See,
Matt Damon!
when they were announcing all the casting like a year or two ago, what I said then was, I'm really excited for the Batman Superman movie because it's either going to be a giant train wreck or amazing. It can't be something in between. But now I'm really starting to lean towards the train wreck.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I heard Affleck, I was like, I didn't see it, but I'm like, all right, I've been wrong many times when it comes to casting, so I'll give it a try. But now that I see it, it's exactly what I was afraid of. I think Ben Affleck's a good actor. I just think he's
me too.
He just, I don't know, he's just weird for the part. Not even wrong, just weird.
Yeah, I mean they've got.
He has a very strong chin, and other than that, I don't know.
I mean
And just kind of bored eyes.
you got Batfleck, you've got Khal Drogo, you've got
I like Khal Drogo though as Aquaman.
yeah, you've got Jeremy Irons, you got Eisenberg. I mean, you got all these very talented, honestly, very talented actors.
Well, and eventually you're going to have Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He's said that he's going to be Black Adam. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be this movie or the next or when. But
Oh wow.
Yeah,
He'd make a good Black Adam.
I think it's not
He'll
until
show.
I think it's not until like 17 or 18 though.
Yeah. He would just overshadow everyone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Did you see the last time he hosted SNL a few weeks back?
Mm-mm.
no. Did you go away?
Story. Good story, buddy. All right. So,
Looks like you
anyway,
just bit a lemon.
so let's talk about Jesse while he's gone. What do you think of the beard? No. So while he's while he's loading back, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of, or I like her. I don't know if I like Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, what I like about her is she actually looks. She is from that part of the world, so she looks the part. She looks like a Greek, although I think she's Israeli. And she's also apparently a badass. I mean, she was trained with the Israeli military, so much she could probably throw a punch. So I like that about her, and I actually like that she doesn't look like Linda Carter. I like that she's not completely top heavy. You know, she looks like she could actually kick somebody's ass.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm waiting to see. I'm willing to give that a chance. I just don't know. It looks like they went with it's Zack Snyder's casting philosophy: get pretty people and then see what happens.
You're right. And then turn the filter to dark, and you know.
And then go with the hipster setting for the sepia.
Yeah. Right.
Or ice blue.
Mm-hmm.
Which that it's not going to work for Superman. Superman, I mean, we already saw it didn't really work for Superman. It's too dark. He's supposed to be all about hope and change. I don't know where I got that.
No, it's about neck snapping.
Copyrighted.
Oh yeah. By the way, in our very first episode, it turns out Trevor hadn't seen Man of Steel, so I totally blew the ending for him.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm gonna watch it now just so I understand.
There are parts of that movie that are all right. I really enjoyed it the first time I watched it. It just doesn't hold up over repeat viewings. It's just a little too dark and a little too, a lot of it doesn't make sense. The characters aren't. It's not true to what the characters are supposed to be, but it's good the first time around.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I'm curious to see the Lex Luthor role too. I've always liked Luthor, so I guess I should watch it for that part as well.
Well, and that's what's going to be interesting is how they deal with Luthor, because I don't think there's no movie that has got Luthor right yet. Because they always depict him as some bumbling, comedic, role, and Lex Luthor is brilliant. He's not necessarily evil. He's a guy he's a businessman, and he's
amoral.
Yeah, and he's gravely concerned about this alien who just showed up, and he can't calculate exactly how this alien is going to be how he's going to play out, and so he's almost trying to defend the Earth. He's almost a hero himself.
I know.
And considering this take on Superman and Man of Steel, and sorry Trevor, cover your ears. They pretty much ruined a major city. Metropolis is New York.
Right.
And so imagine after 9/11, if this has happened and these two alien guys fought in downtown New York and did billions of dollars in damage, what? I don't know, why would I root for Superman?
Yeah.
He saved a puppy in Indonesia. Great. How do you come back from killing what they haven't said it, but in theory would be 100,000 people, something like that?
Right. Well, I mean, even if he didn't actually kill those people, but somebody that he was clearly them fighting in the middle of town did do a lot of damage. Even if you didn't kill anybody, you've destroyed a major town. And so this movie would have made this coming Batman versus Superman movie would have made more sense to me if it picked up right after that happened, where Batman decided, this guy cannot be around because this is the kind of shit that happens when he's around.
Well,
that would make
might
sense.
That might be what they're doing a little bit.
Well, based on the trailer, it looks like Superman's been around for years and years and years. He's become loved. He's got the statue built in his honor. I mean, it picks up where the Dark Knight Returns, the old Frank Miller book, left off, where it's supposed to be set in the future, and Superman's been so good for so long, but now he's almost a little authoritarian, and then Batman has to step in and take care of him. That makes less sense to me than if Batman had stepped in right away and said, if this is the kind of shit that you're bringing to my planet, this cannot stand.
Yeah, and I just watched, I actually rewatched The Social Network last night.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, like, I'm interested to see. I always heard so far is the voiceover, and it sounds like Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah. Right. I mean, yeah, again, he doesn't embody Luthor to me. Maybe he'll be great, I don't know, but I was actually kind of hoping they would actually just get Clancy Brown, who voiced the character for the cartoons. Make Clancy Brown Lex Luthor. He'd be a great Luthor. He's great.
I don't know what he looks like.
Clancy Brown.
He was Kurgan in Highlander, so he looks like a scary son of a bitch.
He was the main guard in Shawshank Redemption. He's been in a million things. Like, as soon as you see him, you're like, oh, that guy.
Oh,
he was actually just in Flash as well.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Who's he?
Yeah, I've always kind of rooted for Luthor when it came to watching Superman. I was always impressed by his ambition and his skill, and he was actually kind of buff, and they never captured that either. Like, he worked out a lot in prison.
So yeah, I don't know. Like, I think it's also kind of I'm seeing this more and more, like this Hollywood mentality of when you need a really, really smart bad guy, they're all now computer programmers. That's kind of the new thing. Like,
right.
It used to be oilmen and stuff like that, and now if you're evil, you're a computer programmer. Which, I don't know. I guess I understand it. I just think it's weird. Like, right. I can't see Zuckerberg actually trying to take over the world. I think it would go about 3 days, and someone would walk up and slap him. He'd be like, stop it. And then the plot unfolds or unravels.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Okay, and then moving on to the last topic. You guys may have heard that there was a big movie released this week. Goes by the name of Avengers.
I've never heard of this.
I think it has not... I don't think it beat its original film opening, but in all other ways, it was a pretty big opening. Something like $400 million. So it's already made its money back. It's doing okay. So, Corey, you saw it. Let's spoil it for everyone. Okay. All right, so what do you think of the end?
They all die.
God,
yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Joss Whedon kills what you love.
Yeah. You know what?
It comes down to it, and Iron Man, I'm a leaf on the wind, and then...
Oh, God.
I liked it. I think it is the problem that that the Avengers is having, and will continue to have even more so in the future, is there's getting to be so many characters. They're constantly adding a couple each movie, and at some point you run into the point where you can't really spend any time with any of the characters because you have to give everybody a little face time, and you got 40 different actors up there on screen, and it just all kind of gets lost in the morass.
Well, there's something
Thrones paradox.
Right.
Yeah. Well, there's something Joss Whedon said where apparently the actual running time is something like 2 hours 20 minutes or somewhere around there. The original cut was well over 3 hours though, and so apparently there were a ton of characters, including like Loki was cut, and there were a lot of other minor characters and future plots that were cut as well. So there's going to be an extended edition of the movie when it comes out on Blu-ray and home media. But so I guess I'm more interested though in the story that I linked was that they've already kind of announced Avengers: Infinity War, the production schedule. They've already at least told some of the actors, like the story comes from Chris Evans, who said that he was booked for 9 months of principal photography. So they're going to do 2 movies at once. They're filming Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2 for, check me if I'm right, I think it's May 2018 and May 2019. Don't quote me on that, but
sounds right.
yeah, it's going to be a year apart, or at least within the same year time frame. But in that time, there are going to be 2 movies coming out. I think it's Black Panther and Captain Marvel. So is there going to be a point where Marvel just it gets too complex? You know, you're doing 9-month shoots that will introduce characters that have their own movies airing between episodes.
Right. It's like reading X-Men comics. It becomes impossible after a while because they're like, especially in the late '90s, the X-Men had like 40 different members on the team at one point.
Yeah.
And I mean, and a lot of those characters have their own books going on at the same time. You know, there just gets to be so many characters that you can't tell a story.
The worst was with Wolverine towards the end before they killed him off for whatever reason. But he was in Avengers, he was in X-Men, he was in X-Force, he was in various other titles popping up. And how do you keep that continuity going? I mean, I don't think you can really.
Right, and continuity in comics, I don't think it's necessary. As long as you're telling good stories, 22 pages at a time, that's fine. But in movies, especially in a universe, a Marvel universe that they're trying to create, you have to have continuity, and people will notice if you're not following through because everybody's watching to a tune of $1 billion per movie.
Yeah. What I worry about is that they're going to start losing the mainstream appeal because it's going to be the same thing like you guys said with the comics, which is why I never got into Marvel as a kid because the comics were just way too confusing for me.
Yeah.
I didn't know where to jump in, where to start. I mean, it's a little easier with the films because it's like, okay, so go back and start with Iron Man and go forward. But at this point, you're now talking about 24 or more hours of movies that you have to watch to get caught up. So,
well, and there's little lapses in their story writing, like in this movie. This happens within the first 10 minutes of the movie, so it's not really a spoiler. When they're talking about whether or not they should build Ultron, the question is whether or not they should create an artificial intelligence. Should we do this? And the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, Jarvis is in the room. Jarvis is right over there. You already have one. Jarvis is running 20 different Iron Man suits in Iron Man 3. He's already done exactly what you're worried about happening. So
yeah, Jarvis saves the day in Iron Man 3. I don't know if you remember that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just worried about so they'll start filming Infinity War 1 and 2 at the same time in 2016, but it is going to feature characters and plot lines we haven't actually seen yet and that haven't actually been filmed. So they'll film the second part of Infinity War, in theory, before Captain Marvel and Black Panther, who will presumably, I mean, maybe not, but they could both appear in Infinity War Part 2. So they're going to be filming years out of order in this sense.
They finally confirmed Cumberbatch is Strange, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a while ago.
Is he going to be in Infinity War?
They haven't said who at all will be in Infinity War, but you got to figure it's a 2-part massive movie. It's Infinity War, so
yeah.
I would think they're going to try and get as many of the characters as they can.
It's funny. The first thing I thought when I saw the article about the 9 months of shooting or whatever, principal photography, the first thing I thought of was if Hemsworth also has 9 months, he's gonna be pissed because he hates bulking up to be Thor.
and he'll have to stay bulked like, hey bro, 9-month training regimen. Woo!
Yeah, he's gonna have to stay that big for like an entire fucking year.
So also it was 9 months for Chris Evans. Like the actual shoot could go on longer than that. He himself was planning on 9 months. So one rumor I heard a while ago, and I think it's probably already been debunked, but what I heard was that Avengers Part 1 of Infinity War would feature newer members, and then the second one would then bring back a lot of the original characters. So it wouldn't be everybody in one movie. It would be different people split up in the two movies. And supposedly the Defenders, the Daredevil group, will appear in the second movie as well. But again, not only is that unconfirmed, it's so far out it could easily change.
Yeah,
Well, and for what I understand, also you have the I think it's Infinity War. Then you have all the Guardians of the Galaxy coming in as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a clusterfuck of characters.
and don't forget
yeah,
the
that's
Inhumans.
so complex.
Yeah, the Inhumans, who have sort of been introduced on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but if you watch the show, they have not actually called them Inhumans except in the promotions.
The what
Yeah.
now? Which show is this?
Agents of
Agents-
S.H.I.E.L.D.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Don't know it.
Really?
I tried watching. I watched for about I think 5 episodes, and I had to get out.
Yeah,
Well,
I couldn't get into it either, man.
To be fair, it was an average show until it caught up with Captain America: Winter Soldier, which was like episode 15 or 16 or so, and then it got really, really good.
Unfortunately, it didn't. Yeah, it didn't hit its stride until about 2/3 of the way through that first season, and then it had the tie-in with the Hydra takeover and all that.
That's also something though I'm worried about with these future movies, because like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they started and they were working towards something that they couldn't reveal, and then once they did, everything changed. So I wonder if some of the movies will, like maybe Black Panther will be building a big Wakanda thing, and then in one of the Avengers movies, Wakanda is destroyed or something like that. So, are the two going to step on each other?
I can tell you that that Wakanda does come up in this new Avengers movie. It plays a role. Black Panther doesn't show up, but the Wakanda is definitely referenced, and it has a fairly sizable role in the plot of this movie.
Interesting.
And Black Panther will appear in Civil War along with, and I'm really excited for Civil War, but I'm concerned by it too because there are so goddamn many characters in it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's so many crossovers. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Isn't
Excuse me.
isn't Blade part of Civil War?
Blade?
I thought. I see. Again, I'm not a Marvel person as much. I remember I just
in the
saw
comics,
someone
I think he was, but
because I saw someone talking about Blade and just like for fun talking about how Blade was actually the first like big Marvel movie,
That's true.
back before any of this
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
And a lot of us forget that, and we're like, oh yeah. And so of course the thread turns into everybody being like, I love Blade. That movie's awesome. And then someone I thought mentioned that he was in Civil War, or mentioning maybe bringing Wesley back to be Blade in one of these movies.
I don't think Wesley's coming back.
Yeah, I don't
have you
think
seen
so either.
Wesley recently?
Yeah.
I think Blade, if I remember right, Blade was New Line Cinema, and I don't know who owns New Line now, but so I don't know if Marvel has the rights to Blade.
Oh, right.
Well, they're gonna have enough characters as it is for Civil War. They don't need Blade.
Yeah, I thought I read the whole comic line, and I thought it was a really good idea that was just kind of watered down, and it was like,
Yeah.
It's like everything changes, and then one random character dies by accident, and it's like, okay.
Well, what sets up the whole Civil War thing. I mean, that it's a good setup because the whole idea is that there's this team that kind of goes rogue and they have this big fight and ends up blowing up part of a town and kills a bunch of kids in an elementary school and then everybody freaks out and decides these people are out of control and they need to be registered. We need to know who these people are and we register them. And that's probably exactly what would happen in that sort of case where you have these super-powered people running around who can destroy a town. And you want to make sure you know who they are, and so the setup is perfect. It's just the execution didn't quite go right.
And then Marvel, for whatever reason in the comic, made it cut and dry clear that Captain America's side was the good guys because the federal government hired Norman Osborn for reasons that I still don't really understand.
Yeah.
To me, that was just after I read that, I was like, all right, this is stupid.
Yeah, you can't put Norman Osborn in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. and say that's a good idea.
Yeah, so that's where it lost me. But so, let me see if I remember right. Civil War, the movie, will have Captain America, Iron Man, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Black Panther, Spider-Man, Baron Zemo, Crossbones, probably Winter Soldier, I assume, Falcon, and then am I forgetting anyone? Maybe Nick Fury. And then yeah,
And
so,
Batman.
and Batman.
Huge twist.
Yeah.
I just googled New Line Cinema, and they're owned, ironically, by Warner Brothers. So,
Probably not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Blade's probably not showing up in a Marvel movie anytime soon.
At what point does Warner get so desperate, just like Sony, that they're like, let's do a crossover with Avengers?
Yeah,
And they'll be like
it'll be great.
Yeah.
it'll be like a space-time continuum tear. Doctor Strange is on it, and then they fight.
You know what? Actually, both Marvel and DC have been doing great in television. The Marvel Daredevil, I think, was a great show, and the DC like Flash and Arrow, even Constantine, all great shows. So maybe movies should just be reserved for the big crossovers and leave the small stories to TV.
I won't be satisfied until I see Detective Chimp.
Yeah, I really like the Flash TV show, and I'm kind of bummed that they're bringing a different Flash to the movies. Like I can see how it'd be. I'm in one hand, I'm glad that the two aren't like forced to react to each other, so Flash can do whatever the hell it wants and introduce whoever it was. But I don't know about the new guy playing the Flash. I haven't really seen anything he was in, but Grant Gustin has won me over.
Yeah, he does a great job. He could be a little funnier. That's the thing with the Flash in the comics and on shows and stuff. He's always a little goofier, but I like him.
Well, in the comics, Barry Allen was he's pretty cut and dry. Like he's a born out of the '50s detective, or he's a CSI type guy. So like he was kind of boring in the comics, at least at first.
Well, I gave Daredevil a second chance, and I'm liking it quite a bit more now that I'm getting deeper into it. I do like Jesse. You were right. Kingpin's character is pretty crazy in that series.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what changed it for me.
Did you guys see that? I should probably write this up at some point. But Netflix finally, for the first time, kind of revealed some of its numbers, which they have never done before and they never wanted to do. But it was kind of like a leak. And Daredevil apparently is their #1 show of all time. It had something like 10 million people watch it.
Wow.
Oh,
Nice.
Wow.
So they've already greenlit the second season of Daredevil.
Detective Chimp. I wasn't making it up.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Just in case.
Gorilla Grodd is coming to Flash, I think, next week.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Then we need the Detective Chimp Gorilla Grodd matchup. Fight. That's amazing.
But thinking of DC TV shows, Gotham sucks. Like I've watched every episode. I've tried really hard.
Dude, I gave up halfway through. Props to you. And that's dedication.
I'm still been watching it. It's not. I mean, it's not even a. There's nothing superhero about it anymore. It's more like a crime procedural. I mean, it's.
Yeah, which that's okay, I guess. I just think it's kind of a boring crime procedural.
Yeah. No, I'd agree.
And it's building towards something that is going to wipe out all of this anyway. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
Like Bruce Wayne, the young kid who plays Bruce Wayne, I'm not a fan of. Like he's a kid, and it's not his fault. He's a good actor. I think he's just miscast.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see Baby Batman as like this curious, plucky little adventurer. I see him as a moody little son of a bitch who's beating up people in alleys.
Is he like young Indiana Jones? Like.
Yeah,
not even that interesting.
I didn't say interesting.
And I also like Jim Gordon's the girlfriend, Dr. Leslie Tompkins from the comics, who's Marina Baccarin.
Yeah.
I like her way more than the actress and the character of Barbara. Is it Barbara Gordon? It's not Barbara.
Yeah. No, yeah, it is Barbara. It's Barbara. What's her? It starts with a K. I forget the middle name.
Yeah.
Kane.
Kane. Yeah, right.
No,
Barbara Kane.
Is it in the TV show? Well,
Yeah,
it's the It's the woman that in the comics he marries and then has Barbara Batgirl with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it is Barbara Kane in the show, and she's an admitted drug user, pretty fucked up, fairly reckless. I don't know how he's gonna go back to falling in love with her. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
It just bugs me that I already know where it's going to go because, Dr. Leslie Tompkins is an established Batman character, and someone would have mentioned that if she and Gordon had been married and had
Right.
kids, or whatever. So it's going in this weird direction, even though the story, it's like there are highlights to the story, that things that work, which because of what is going to happen are going to get ruined. So it's so confining.
I'm losing battery power, and for whatever reason, my computer isn't charging, so I may drop out of here at some point.
Well, that's probably a good place to end it then. So, all right. Well, thank you, everyone. It was fun as ever. Thanks for joining us, Court.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Court.
Jesse, Shave, Trevor, Grow.
I'm trying, man.
I'm gonna screen share Joel Freeland next time so people know people outside of Portland know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah, maybe I should add it to the landing page of the story.
There you go. Yeah, that can be the front page thing.
All right. Well, thanks everyone, and everyone else. We'll be back next week.
Bye.
Say bye, everyone.
Bye,